Hello.
Yeah,
Hi, Laurie.
Oh, Grace.
Here we are again.
I know. Do you think we'd ever get here?
Another year, another Flare.
Hi Rihanna, how are
Yay.
you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, pumped for the programme.
Pumped.
It's your first one.
My first one, yeah.
How does it feel?
Exciting.
Grace, I see a kind of fishbowl here and I'm a bit worried about it. There's no fish in there.
I think we should delve in. I think we should
Shall
read some
I go for it?
questions. Do it.
The one with a character who would have been your childhood hero.
For this one, I'm going to go for Dimakatso Sebiti from Who I Am Not. Who I Am Not is a documentary about two intersex South Africans, and Dimakatso is one of them. They're non-binary, they're intersex. One thing that really struck me as I was watching is Dimakatso, wherever they go, they so proudly introduce themselves and say who they are, which I think is such a brave thing to do, mostly in African spaces. So I really admire that they're able to just go and be who they are wherever they go. How about you?
I think I would have loved to have seen Christophe Honoré's Winter Boy, because its lead character is a young man. He's dealing with grief and exploring the world and getting to know who he is as a person. And I think I would really have benefited from that emotional journey at a time in my life when I was going through similar things. Yeah. But I think that's the great thing about the festival, is that you can come to it and be emotionally educated and entertained and hook up with interesting people.
I think maybe it's probably narcissism, the autoerotic images, which may be an odd one to answer, but it has about 10 really incredible people who represent all sorts of different trans and queer lives, creative people, mainly they're artists and writers. It's just an incredible collection of people who would have been incredibly inspiring to my teenage self, if only I knew that they existed then.
Okay, this is a good one, I think. Which is the one that offers the most surprises?
I think the most surprises is a piece called LGBTQ+ VR Museum. It's by an artist called Antonia Forster here from the UK and her team. And they built this entire museum with artifacts and objects from the queer community. And so you can imagine you walk like a 3D museum. You put on the headsets and then you can interact with all the stories. You can listen to soundscapes, etc. So there's a lot to experience in that. You can stay in there for hours.
What is a film that should be seen by as many people as possible? I mean, all of them, of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you a shorts programme and a talk in one.
Oh, that's not cheating. That's just pushing boundaries.
Exactly. It's just showing off how good our programme is. So there's a nice little double bill during the festival. So Tara Brown, who many people will know, brilliant film programmer, they are bringing this incredible talk called We Have Always Been Here, which is all about the intersection of queerness and disability. So that talk is going to be followed by a shorts programme that Jay has curated called In a Truthful Space, which is all, again, about queer disabled people. And I just think it's such a vital shorts programme. I think it's so cool.
The one that comes to mind is a film called Silent Love. And it's about a woman who, she's Polish, but she's living in Germany, and she has her girlfriend, she has her life all set up, everything's going okay. And then her mum sadly passes away, and she has to go back to Poland to try and get custody and raise her 15-year-old brother. I don't know how the filmmaker did it, but somehow it feels like the whole family who's being filmed are so comfortable in front of the camera. And it's just about watching these three people, so sister, brother, and partner, try and form a new family together in the midst of Poland, in the midst of grief. I feel like it's a really beautiful documentary.
I think I would pick Louise de Philippis, Something You Said Last Night. I think it's the film that a lot of trans audiences have been waiting for. Wow. It just completely sidesteps all the narratives and tropes that people have sort of come to expect. And it was, just this really immersive, incredible week with this family, and one of the grown-up kids happens to be trans, and then that's, then we move on from there. And I think people hopefully are going to love it as much as I do.
Cool.
Maybe I'd say Drifter, because I think it's an unusual film in terms of the character who's a young everyman, that he's going to a big city, in this case Berlin, and living the life. He's having sex, taking drugs, meeting all sorts of people. He's falling in love and in and out of love, and having all these new experiences in a way that I don't think people did in previous generations, not in the same way. So it's just interesting, the fluidity and the confidence that he rolls through that early stage of life.
Which is one that you want your parents or family to really watch? Yeah.
I think there's one very poetic, super interesting one. It's called Chroma 11, and it tells the story of a gay couple, a gay dance couple from Malaysia and Singapore, and they've worked together and lived together for a number of years. And there's this filmmaker, and she came to make a documentary about their work. And during the process, one of the couple died. They've been very sick for a long time. One was diagnosed with HIV, the other one had cancer. And then they had the idea to have a virtual reality experience sitting alongside the documentary. And that really tries to recreate moments in their lives and bring together the couple in immersive media.
I mean, my mum comes to like pretty much every film during Flare every year, so she loves everything. But I know that like her and her partner would love the Blue Caftan. I think it's that kind of like, you know, really kind of quality art house movie that they always really kind of vibe on. It's a beautiful film.
I mean, I've got a couple that I think my parents would like, but I really think they'd like Monica, which is a drama with Trace Lysette, who was obviously in Transparent and Hustlers. This is like finally giving her like a long overdue leading role, and she's just so sort of like beautiful in this and really powerful. It also stars, I feel like I'm going to say she's a queer icon because I've decided she's a queer icon, Patricia Clarkson.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
She is, right?
She always told me I was lovely, so that's enough for me.
Oh my God, that makes her a queer icon.
I'd like my parents to see Lie With Me, because it's very open and honest about the importance of adolescent desire, that I always felt I was running from my parents and couldn't tell them anything. And I think that in this film it shows really the impact of an early love and how those feelings never really disappear, and there's an intensity of emotion that perhaps parents might not have expected. But I'm all surprised how many people do bring their parents to see things at the festival, and I think it's really an exciting and interesting thing to do that I wish maybe I'd been able to do.
Which one is guaranteed to cause sleepless nights?
Ooh, sleepless nights. There's this piece called Black Trans Archive, and this amazing artist called Danielle Brathwaite-Shirley. She created an archive of Black trans history in the UK, but also internationally. And it's very provocative. So you sit in front of a screen and then you're asked questions, and you can sort of navigate around this archive. And it really changes the way you think about Black trans history, about legacy. And yeah, I found it very powerful when I saw it.
Oh, crikey. I suppose, like, the obvious one that's springing to mind is Swallowed. It's like a sci-fi horror with bugs, and again, it's another one where you don't really know exactly what's going on or what's going to happen. So it really, you know, and there's a cabin in the woods, and it's all a bit grubby.
And I have to answer.
I think
yes,
you do,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, the one I'm picking is, I think, The Five Devils, which has already like kind of a creepy name, but it's kind of a surreal film about a young girl who has special powers to be able to recreate any smell of any person. So she would like meet you and be like, okay, and then she would go and like make the smell, and then she can smell it, and at some point it leads that when she smells things, she can go back in time and see what's going on in the past.
It sounds a bit Daphne du Maurier.
Maybe, yes, that kind of vibe. And it's all set in this one village in France with mountains, and everything is just a little bit off.
Which protagonist would you like to be BFFs with?
That's quite tricky, because sometimes the more attractive ones have like a horrible underside. Maybe I'll choose the drag queen in 3 Nights a Week, because I think they've got a real heart. They can be difficult, but they're stylish, witty, beautifully dressed, and I think we'd have a lot of fun.
I mean, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I want to be besties now and as a teenager with Jamie from Big Boys. Just the sweetest character. This is a character. His main hobbies are cooking and drawing.
He loves Julia Childs, doesn't he?
Just such a sweet character, just like so unabashed in his like uncoolness. And I just think that's so refreshing. And also, yeah, he's like, you know, his whole like exciting thing in his life is going on a camping trip and like playing games. I just think there's something so like pure and lovely about that. I can just imagine us like hanging out and cooking together, talk about Julia Childs. We'd have a great old time.
Oh my God, is it? Oh, can I hang out at least just for a bit?
Yeah, we'll get you some food.
I'll pop round for lunch. But yeah, it's such a sweet film. It's such a kind film.
It really is.
I love that. And I think there's a lot of films that we see this year as well. There's a kindness in lots of the films. I don't know, it feels like at the moment, that's personally what I kind of want at the moment. I don't need to feel good. I don't need like uplifting films necessarily, but kindness.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's something
so
that's
true.
kind of there throughout a lot of the films in the programme this year that feels really meaningful.
Yeah, and kind of unexpected places as well. Like something like The Stroll, you'd assume it'd be like a really hard-hitting film, but there's so much like love and compassion, I think, because it's such a personal film, and it's about sisterhood. Like it's such a like kind and sort
kindness
of, like,
and friendship.
film.
They're the kind of themes of Flare somehow this year, aren't they?
Okay, this one says the world premieres in this year's lineup.
Well, I'm quite excited about Big Boys, which is, you know, we're always looking for representation of a really wide range of bodies and people, and I think a lot of people are excited about that one.
Cool.
And
Nice.
what about you?
I'm excited about Jess Plus None as a world premiere, and yeah, it's about kind of chaotic woman in her like 30s, I think, and her best friend is getting married, and her best friend, it feels like everything is going just right for her, and Jess is like newly single and a bit confused about life, and it's an off-grid wedding, so it's set over only a few days. There's no mobiles, there's no internet, and it's just about all these friends coming together.
We've got American Parent, which is a film all about parenting during the pandemic, because parenting is hard. The pandemic is hard. Imagine having to do both, but this is such a like refreshing look at queer parenthood.
The world premiere that I'm most excited about is Willem and Frida. It's the wonderful cultural hero Stephen Fry goes to Holland to track down people who know something about the story of these two wonderful activists who are artists and musicians, and it's their story fighting the Nazis. I mean, it's like a detective thriller in many ways. It's also deeply moving, and I was so excited when I saw it on my screen. I immediately texted Michael to let him know that it had to be in the festival.
For me, it would be Malcolm Kenyatta's film, which is called Kenyatta, Do Not Wait Your Turn, which tracks this American politician, Malcolm Kenyatta, as he joins the race. He's trying to be the first openly gay person of color to be in the United States Senate. And Malcolm Kenyatta, will hopefully be with us for the festival. So that's the world premiere, I would say, is really exciting.
We've also got alumni returning to the festival. We have the new film from Shamin Sarif, obviously director of cult film I Can't Think Straight. We've got the world premiere of her new film Polarized, which is this incredible romantic drama.
Actually, I Can't Think Straight was one of the craziest screenings I've ever been by like this. People went crazy for that film. They really loved it.
I can
imagine. It was a very, very fun screening.
The main question, so what is expanded?
So Flare Expanded this year is a selection of immersive works, so working with new media technology. And we have a selection of 4 works, international works, that we're going to present here at an exhibition at BFI Southbank. The exhibition is going to run at the first weekend of the festival, 16th until 19th of March, and every day from 2 to 9, and it's going to be free of charge. So people can just rock up and see all of these immersive works that we've curated.
That's cool. And it's the first time that it's happened at Flare?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've done it before at London Film Festival, but now we're branching out into Flare.
I'm so excited that we have an immersive program for Flare. I think it's so cool.
We've talked about doing this for a while. I remember kind of years ago, Jay really wanted to do something, and it just felt, how do we even begin to do this? So yeah, it's really, really exciting to be able to do something this year.
Yeah, and I think in a way, like I think people were maybe surprised that there is like queer immersive art and video and stuff like that, but it's like queer people are always at the forefront of like technologies and stuff. It's like, hello, the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
Say no more. But I haven't had a chance to see any of the immersive works yet.
And I've actually I've seen and have experienced some of all of the immersive work, but I haven't through the headset. But I think it's such an exciting, sign of just how queer artists and filmmakers are just kind of changing and pushing boundaries. And the one for me that I'm most excited to fully experience is there's a piece called He Fucked the Girl Out of Me, which is about a trans person in America who was forced into sex work to pay for her transition. And it's kind of styled like an 8-bit kind of NES video game, and it looks really cool in that sense. But you play the game essentially, but with using kind of arrow keys of what decisions that you make. But what's so interesting about the film is, of course, it makes you think about like, what decisions would I make in this situation? What would I do? How is this different, etc. But then you suddenly realize like, oh, I actually have a choice to make a decision here. This question about autonomy and like who has the right to decide what you do with your own body, things like that, they all come out through this. And what seems like this really simple, kind of cute, gimmicky little game is actually, these kind of moral questions and this idea about the actual kind of nature of choice that we have. Fascinating piece. And I think that's just one example of, these works that they're so textured and they're so layered. And I think having that interactive kind of immersive aspect to them just transforms the way that you think and the way that you engage with these pieces.
Events are one of the best things about a film festival, that they're not films, but they're often film related. Are there any that are particularly attracting you?
Yeah, I would say there's actually a discussion happening after Loving Highsmith, the screening of Loving Highsmith. We invite the audience to kind of discuss problematic queer icons, which I think will bring up a lot of different talking points. Something else that I'm excited about is the discussion around bisexual visibility that we're going to have as a separate event. So yeah, those are the two that I'm really keen on going to. How about you?
I think for me, it's got to be marking the passing of the pioneer filmmaker Ron Peck, who was a great friend to the festival and a very dynamic filmmaker. And what we're actually screening is Strip Jack Naked, Nighthawks 2, which is an essay film kind of musing about life and art and filmmaking. And there's also a workshop afterwards where we hope many people will come and share their thoughts of Ron Peck.
Okay.
I think it's the last one.
This is the last
one. I'm sad. I'm relieved.
The journey is almost
over.
Well, speaking of bangers, which Flare film has the biggest banger of a soundtrack?
Nice. There's two. I think we're probably thinking of the same ones. The Indigo Girls documentary, It's Only Life After All, which of course guaranteed bangers.
Yeah.
But then Little Richard is the other one.
Yeah, Little Richard, I Am Everything. I just love that title. But it is so great. It's so cool like hearing his music like recontextualized as well. There's like performances of his songs by other artists, but also just like hearing him and kind of like, oh, this is why he like made his music sound like this. It's like, yeah. I'm going to give a banger recommendation, but I can't say what the song is because I don't want to spoil it. But there is a karaoke scene in The Five Devils, and the song that they use is so unexpected. It's one of the all-time great bangers, and it is just absolutely glorious. So obviously you should be seeing The Five Devils regardless because it's a great film, but just a little extra impetus, go see it to hear a banger karaoke scene.
Okay, I think we need to reshoot from the very beginning. Can you just start? What was your first answer? Just kidding.